today's video, I will be talking about planning and using your calendar. When it comes to planning, I love to plan, but I do tend to struggle with follow through and being disciplined and really sticking to my plans. Now, that is something that I've worked on, and I feel like I've overcome it a little bit recently. There is a specific strategy that I use that helps me combat follow through and actually do what I plan to do even when I don't feel like it. Welcome to my series, Stay Productive and Healthy, where I am sharing everything I know about productivity, and I'm on a journey to having my most productive and healthiest year yet. On today's agenda, we will be going through my full planning walkthrough, planning strategy, and some planning principles that I use. Okay, so I use Google Calendar to plan out my days and my weeks. It's my favorite thing to use. I used to use a paper planner, and I've considered going back to using a paper planner, but I think I'm gonna stick to using Google Calendar because I like how I can just add anything that comes up at the blink of an eye and that it syncs across all my devices rather than with a physical planner. Sometimes I hop back and forth, like I want reminders for certain things, and that's just a lot to manage, having both a physical planner and a digital planner. So I just stick to using Google Calendar. When I open up my Google Calendar, I have, how many calendars do I have? There's like 7 calendars here, but I really only use 4 calendars. So that's my personal calendar, which I use for everything personal, like scheduling gym time, doing my meal planning, anything personal, I use that personal calendar for. And then I have a cycle syncing calendar. So even though I use a period tracker, my favorite one is Clue, I still like to put what phase I'm in so I know how to kind of schedule my week and even my coming month. I also have a calendar for my design school. Anything concerning design school goes on that calendar. So when I have homework to do or a class to attend, I put it on my design school calendar. Oh, my last calendar, YouTube. So I have a YouTube calendar for when I like to plan my content, record my content, edit it, and everything like that. Now, that is on my calendars, and I only have 4 because that just keeps it really simplistic. I am a person that needs simplicity. If I have like 10 calendars I'm adding stuff to, moving things from, it just gets a little too complicated for me, and then I'll just end up not using it. Like the other calendars on here, the birthday calendar, the gardening calendar, and the task calendar, I don't really use those. The gardening calendar I created because I thought I was going to be using it more, but that's just kind of like an everyday thing with me. Like I don't really need a gardening calendar at this point in my gardening journey, but I may need it in the future. And then like the task calendar, I don't like using that one per se because I just put a time block for tasks. I like being able to edit it, assign it to a specific category, and make it a specific color, and you can't really do that with tasks. Also, I don't like working from a task list. That's a whole nother conversation, and maybe I'll talk about it later, but I'm not a huge fan of working from task lists, but rather living from my calendar. There's certain things that I time block and certain things that I just have as an all-day event. When I have something that doesn't really have a time associated to it, coffee is delicious. Now, when I'm planning, there's certain things that I do a specific time block, and there's certain things that I just put as an all-day event. So right now, I'm currently in summer school. I'm taking a summer course. So all the assignments that I have due on specific days, I just put that as an all-day event. and I'm not adding a specific time block to it. But during the week, I will put a specific time block for like an hour, hour and a half, so I can complete a specific assignment during that day and time. Now, my favorite thing to do when I'm planning is to use the 4-quarter method. I love this method. I use it all the time. It is my favorite method that helps provide more structure to my day. So the 4-quarter method is basically you splitting your day into 4 quarters. There's morning, midday, afternoon, and evening, and each block is 4 hours. Now, when I use this method, sometimes I mainly just use it for my morning and evening routine. At least recently, that's what I've been using it for, my morning and evening routine. But when I am in school, like having to go to class and stuff, I'll just put a whole midday block as attending class or doing homework, because it just makes it easier rather than doing a whole bunch of mini time blocks. That is it for like my tactics, like the basic walkthrough. Now, when it comes to the strategy behind my planning, I like to plan both weekly and daily. So once a week, typically on a Saturday or Sunday, I like to sit down and open my calendar, and I like to plan an outline of my week. I like to do a general outline of my week, and specifically I like to plan my gym days and my cooking days. So when I plan my gym days and my cooking days, I like to use a method of front loading my week. So I try to plan them at the beginning of my week. That way, if things come up or if I need to rearrange things or switch things around, I have more days ahead that I can switch them to, and I'm not pushing my goals further back. So like if I'm planning on a Saturday, I like to schedule a gym day either on a Sunday or a Monday, and I like to do the same with cooking days. Yeah, so that's why I plan on a weekly basis. Now, I also like to plan on a daily basis. I like to plan every day, so including weekends. Even if all I'm doing is resting on a weekend, I just like having a plan for my day. Even if the plan is to do nothing and watch TV all day, I like having a plan for my day because it helps me stay on top of certain things, like cleaning up, making sure things are taken care of. Like when I have a plan for my day, I'm more consistent with things that matter to me, like gym days or cooking days. So I like having a plan for each and every day. It's helpful for me, and I enjoy planning each and every day. Now, I like to plan at night specifically because when I'm planning at night, I'm thinking about things that are gonna set me up for success, and I'm actually planning things that are going to push me towards my goals and help me accomplish specific tasks that need to get done. If I wait to plan for the morning, I'm more easily swayed by what I want to do rather than what I need to do. So that's why I like to plan every night, because I'm thinking more strategically and I'm thinking more responsibly, and I'm less swayed by my emotions. Now, when it comes to my planning principles, there are 2 things that I do or have in mind when I'm planning that I think have been the catalyst to me actually following through on my plans and being disciplined. So the very first thing is having a vision. So I'm of the opinion that we should be using our time and not filling our time. And when you try to plan your week or your day from a blank canvas and you don't really have a vision or a direction to go in, you're more likely to fill your time rather than use your time to help shape your future and get you to where you want to be. And the Bible also says that without a vision, the people perish. So I am a big fan and a big supporter of having a vision and a certain direction you're trying to go in, even when it comes to the smallest things like planning. So when I plan, I like to have sometimes I like to have my vision board open, at least in this current season of my life. I frequently open my vision board when I plan out my days and my weeks, because having a vision just really gives you that extra motivation you need when you don't feel like doing it. So I am of the opinion that vision plus strategy equals discipline. So having a vision, having something to reference to, something to give you direction, something to look forward to, and then applying that strategy to it will help you stay disciplined to actually complete that thing. It's kind of like with gardening. If you want to see the flower grow, like you have a vision, you've seen examples of a flower when it's in full bloom, or a vegetable or fruit when it's ready to harvest. And so that motivation, that vision gives you the motivation and the discipline to consistently water that plant each and every day. So it's kind of like the same thing. Having a vision will help you follow through on the plans you make to achieve that vision. It'll help you stay consistent and disciplined. Now, my favorite questions to ask myself when I'm creating my own vision board or mood board, and these are the same questions that you can ask yourself, is what do you want to do and who do you want to be? That can be as big as 5 years, 3 years, or as small as 2 to 3 days from now. So ask yourself that. What do you want to do and who do you want to be as you're planning out your weeks, as you're planning out your days? And if you want to, make a mood board, make a vision board. I love to do that. I will find any reason to open up Pinterest and create a new Pinterest board. Like, that is one of my favorite things to do. So having that vision will help you stay disciplined and consistent in order to shape your future and make what you want to happen. The other principle I use is being realistic. I think we should try to challenge ourselves when we're planning things out and planning on our calendars, but we do have to be realistic. There's a lot of things going on in life. We have responsibilities. So we need to account for all the responsibilities that we have in life. And even as women, our cycles. I want to do a whole video on cycle syncing. I love it for specific reasons, like to help support my body in certain phases of my cycle, but I'm not the biggest fan of using cycle syncing for task management. But I don't want to get too deep into that right now, but we do have, as women, we do have cycles that change our hormones and how we think or feel during certain times of the month, and those are good things to take into account when we're planning. Some practical things that you can do to be realistic when you're planning is to add buffer blocks. I love a good buffer block. I will leave, I don't always leave buffers between each and every time block that I have, but wherever it makes sense for me to have a buffer block, I like to put at minimum a 15-minute. I really like to do at minimum a 30-minute, but sometimes I'll just do a 15-minute buffer block. You can either leave the space blank or you can add buffer in your calendar if you want. I personally like to leave the space blank because it helps compute in my brain that it's a buffer block, and I like seeing that open space because it feels like a buffer block rather than me having it filled in. But that's just me, and I digress. Now, another way you can practice being reasonable is once you're done making a schedule and once you're done making a plan for your week or your day, depending on what's going on, you can look at that and see, okay, you can look at your schedule and say, okay, do I think I can accomplish this? Does this feel reasonable and does this feel doable? And again, I think we should try to challenge ourselves a little bit, but we do need to be realistic because we don't want accomplishing our goals to feel unattainable and undoable. We want to give ourselves some method of achievement. So that is it. As a quick recap, I went over my planning process. I gave you a walkthrough of how I like to plan and use my calendar. We talked about planning strategy, when and why you should plan, and we talked about planning principles and the things that will help you actually stay consistent and follow through on your plans. I believe that the principles plus the strategy, specifically the vision plus the strategy, are going to be the key factors in actually helping you to follow through on your plans. They have been for me. I know that whenever I don't want to do something or don't feel like doing something, but I look at my schedule and see that I've scheduled myself to go to the gym or scheduled myself to write or do something or scheduled myself to do homework, I think about my end goal and my vision and what I had in mind, and that helps me to actually follow through on my plans and complete them. So I believe it can do the same for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to stay productive and healthy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.